The Prefectus slain? Regrettably so, my lord. And at the hand of the Icon Slayer, if the Centurion who survived the attack is to be believed. Riditon. Where were his men when he faced the enemy? Fleeing even as their commander yielded up his last breath? If it should prove they questioned his right. I cannot speak for them, my lord. Beg pardons, my lord, but there is more. The Maelstrom has laid siege to Castrum Assidens. Likewise, the Crimson Fleet moves to blockade Castrum Meridium. So, this is their answer. Very well, we shall crush them as we crush the Icons. Go forth and show them the futility of their resistance. Yes, my lord. Scion Hiscaris, your deeds this day are an inspiration to us all. With the death of the Prefectus, Operation Archon has entered its second phase. Even as we speak, the Maelstrom moves to blockade Castrum Assidens and Castrum Marinum. And far to the east in the Black Shroud, the Order of the Twin Adder advances upon Castrum Oriens. Already you have done much to advance our cause, performing such feats as are worthy of song. But if our plan is to succeed, more is required of you. Let me know when your preparations are in order, and I shall relay to you the particulars of your next mission. Phase 2 of the operation is presently in motion. Our brothers and sisters of the Maelstrom are holding their own against Scarlian forces upon Vilebrand and Ratano Sea. Ere long, the third phase will begin, and you must take to the field once more. The Immortal Flame shall strike at Castrum Meridianum by way of a diversionary maneuver. While the Garleans are thus locked in battle, you are to infiltrate the stronghold and bring down the Magitech field that surrounds the Praetorium. The staging point for the mission lies in the shadow of Castrum Meridian in the northern Thanalan, and that is where you must go. On your way there, however, I would ask that you take a brief stop at Camp Bullfrog, one of our key outposts in the area. The garrison, I am told, is in low spirits, and it would do our troops well to see the hero of Cape Westwind appear before them. For the good of our cause, please stroke the fire in their hearts. Brothers and sisters of the Alliance, I would share with you glad tidings. Doubtless spurred on by news of the siege of Castrum Oriens, the Maelstrom has struck a double blow. Castrum Assidens and Castrum Marinum are now under blockade. Phase 2 of Operation Archon is a success. Reports tell us that the Garleans offered fierce resistance, but that the Admiral yielded them not one ilm. With Assidens, Marinum, and Oriens thus suppressed, the third phase may begin in earnest. Even as we speak, the Order of the Twin Adder moves to block the railway leading hither from Castrum Sentry, and that can mean but one thing. The hour is come to strike at the heart of the Garlean invasion force. Castrum Meridium, the Den of the Black Wolf. My fellow Eorzeans, I am Minfilia, mistress of the Scions of the Seventh Dawn. There exist myriad barriers that divide us, those of race and nation, language and creed, to name but a few. Such barriers serve to isolate us from our neighbors, yet they also serve to define who we are. Shorn of them, there would be little to distinguish one from another, and the rich variety of our lives would give way to sterile orthodoxy. These barriers can never truly be broken down, of course, not so long as there is liberty in the world, but they can be transcended. Verily, we do so now in coming together for this grand endeavor to fight side by side in defense of our shared home. Before me stands the adventurer Sophie Hiscaris. You all know her as the woman who will lead the unit tasked with destroying the Ultima weapon. We Scions know a different Sophie, however. We know her as a dear friend who has endured untold hardship on our behalf, a true hero who has ever blazed a path for us to follow. And why do I tell you this? I tell you, friends, because it is time for us to blaze a path for her. Our objective is to wreak such havoc outside the walls of Meridium as to afford Sophie and her comrades the time they need to disable the Magitech field generator within. With this path thus cleared, we may finally turn our minds to the true goal of the operation, the destruction of the Ultima weapon. All troops prepare for battle. I fear I can't accompany you this time. The unenviable task of facilitating communications between our forces has been entrusted to the Ironworks, you see. Now, though, know that I will be praying for your safe return. See that you come back to us, my friend. May the crystal bless you and keep you. We will suffer the Black Wolf to prowl our lands no more. Let us teach the hunter what it is to be hunted. Forward, comrades, for Eorzea! For Eorzea! We're excited! Yay! Go team! Go now, Sophie, and bring us one step closer to the dawn. So welcome to Castrum Meridianum. This dungeon and the one after Praetorium are their own roulette, called Story Roulette. And there's a whole huge story for why they're called that and what's going on with it, and we'll get into it as we go. But the main thing to know is that while I'm here, I can't skip any cutscenes or anything, which is fine, I wasn't going to anyway, but that means nobody else can skip them either. And all the dialogue is auto until the end of it, so I can't click through it. I might have to speed read some stuff, but there's a reason for it, and I will explain that as we go. But the other thing to know is that because of that, and because people just want to do this dungeon and get it done with, not everybody, the majority of people are just interested in doing their roulette, their daily main story quest roulette, and getting it done with as fast as possible. So as you can see, the other tank is going to just grab everything and haul it right to the boss, and they don't care. This is what's normal in dungeons, and so don't be kind of freaked out by this. This is typical. If you're the healer, I'm sorry, and I hope that the other healers can help you keep up with it, because it is crazy. If you're the DPS, use your AoE a lot. I don't know what else to say. I can kind of go into why it is this way. When ARR was first launched, before roulettes came out, you would do this one time, and that was it. When roulettes came out, they didn't have main story quest roulette, they just had leveling roulette. And then later they added the... let's see, so they had leveling roulette, and then they added the expert roulette, I believe is what it was called, which is the level 50s at the time. And that was it. And so there was no roulette for this. You would only do this if people needed to do it. And it wasn't a big deal. Everybody was kind of new. The only big deal part of it was that it took forever to do, because everybody was watching the cutscenes and stuff, right? And usually it would be like your friends would help you. If I didn't know better, I'd swear you had a personal grudge against Magitech armor. What can I say? I couldn't bear to let you have all the fun. Don't worry, Biggs and Wedge have everything in hand. Truth be told, I think they like having the work of 3 men. Wedge wasn't exactly pleased to be left behind, though, and made quite sure I knew it. I must say our recent struggles have done wonders for the lad's spirit. Given the size of this place, I suspected there might be an armor or 3 to be had, and here we are. Not as bad as I thought. If I have half of Marquis' talent for mending things, I should be able to get it working again. Listen, Soapy, we intercepted an Imperial communication indicating that the Ultima weapon is indeed being housed within the Praetorium. We also learned that the field which protects the compound is powered by no fewer than 3 generator towers. If you're to deactivate the field, you'll need to locate and disable them all. And I'm here to help you do just that. See that chute? It leads to the waste disposal. Somewhere nearby there will be a Corellium facility supplying fuel to the closest of the 3 towers. Find the place and break things. Go on ahead, Soapy. I'll be along as soon as I finish my repairs. So you would usually get friends to help you do this, right? And they would just be like, yeah, sure, whatever. And that was fine. So then what happened was they added the main story roulette, and they gave this a lot more experience than it used to have. It used to be like not a lot of experience, and you did not get tombstones for doing it, and then they made it so that you got 100 tombstones for doing it, or even maybe 200 tombstones, I don't remember. A lot of tombstones for the time, and well, still technically a lot of tombstones, but for the time when tombstones was like the big deal, and you needed like 1,000 to get a piece of armor, like getting 100 for doing a roulette was a big deal. But what would happen is everybody would skip all the video, all the cutscenes, and so if you were a new person and you didn't know that everybody was skipping everything, this would happen. People would skip everything, they'd run through, they'd gather all the enemies, they'd destroy everything, they'd fight bosses, and you'd still be trying to watch the first cutscene. You would actually miss the entire dungeon. Like, I'm not even kidding. You would miss the entire dungeon because you'd be watching one cutscene, and by the time you finish that first cutscene with Sid that we just watched, they'd already have cleared the second boss. Like, and then you'd be like just running behind in an empty dungeon with no idea what was going on anymore. And I should point out what is going on right now. You come up here and you grab these enemies off there. You see that usable paneling? People need to come up and grab those, and or not grab those, but use the incendiary device that they pick up off of the Magitech armor to blow those panels up, and then that'll destroy the pumps. See, somebody did it on that one, so you just need to do it on the other one, and then it'll. And then once both pumps are destroyed, you can go to the boss. But anyway, so people would just skip everything. Not skip everything, well, skip all the cutscenes, and you wouldn't know what was going on. And you'd be left with no knowledge of what we were doing. And you just run through a big empty dungeon and miss everything. And the only time it was a real problem is if the healer or the tank, one of those two, was new and they were trying to watch the cutscenes. And then everyone would yell at them. Like, it would be so hostile. It was the closest to toxic that Final Fantasy ever was. And this is it. This was the one place where it could get toxic, and what would happen is all the DPS just wanted to get through and get it done, and all the, you know, you'd have a tank or a healer watching the cutscenes, and they would just be like, just give the cutscenes, you can watch it at the end, which you can do, which, you know, you can go watch cutscenes from story and dungeons and stuff in the end. Nobody wanted to wait. They were very impatient. So Square, being Square, was like, well, this is not going to happen. Like, we put this roulette in so that people could do this dungeon, because people were not able to do the dungeon after the first couple patches. Nobody needed the dungeon anymore, so it took forever to get in and do this dungeon. So the entire point of the roulette was to make it so that people would do the dungeon, so that if you were a new player like me, when you queued up, you didn't have to wait for 3 hours to do it, right? So that's why they added the roulette and they gave you the rewards. But then the experience was terrible. You get yelled at, or you get left behind, and nobody wanted to do it. So Square was like, we're not going to have this, and they made all the cutscenes unskippable and all the dialogue automatic. And now everybody has to watch the cutscenes. There you are. I didn't have the patience to take the long way around. I see you've disabled the first generator. That leaves us with 2. Ah, bugger. That was me, wasn't it? Well, there's nothing for it but to press on. We must see to the remaining generators before the enemy has the chance to regroup. You go on ahead, Sophie. I'll bring up the rear. Let's raise some hell. Make sure you get the key here, nobody else is doing it. So anyway, you would get left behind or you would get yelled at. So then Square made it so that it couldn't be skipped. And that was actually brilliant, because that totally killed all the toxicity. Nobody cares anymore. The only thing that happens now is the tanks, or very impatient healers, or even sometimes crazy DPS, will run ahead like this tank has been doing and grab everything up to the next boss. Just grab everything and take it to the next boss. And you just follow the tank and you just kill everything with AoE, and it's great. And along the way you will interact with these things here, like this person's about to do and I'm trying to do. Yeah, searchlight terminals. Back in the old day, you see these cannons over here? Back in the old day, you would gather up stuff and the DPS would get on those cannons and you'd shoot everything with your cannons, but we're all so overpowered now that we don't have to do that anymore. But anyway, so yeah, making the cutscenes unskippable pretty much just made the dungeon a thing where everybody just queues up and you go as fast as you can, and you just get out, in and out. You accept the fact that the cutscenes are going to happen, If you're new like I am, you get to watch them and it's not a big deal. And if you're not new, you just go to sleep and wake up later and finish the dungeon. They are these two dungeons, the main story quest roulette, is affectionately referred to now as Netflix roulette because basically you can do some fights, get to the boss, and then while all the cutscenes are playing, you can watch Netflix. Or you might call it that like I do because it feels like you're playing a game of Netflix because of all the cutscenes. It's funny. Or at least I think it's funny. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But it's not overly hard. I mean, like I said, this used to be a challenge. But just like everything, the gear scores have gotten so high. Even with them syncing your level and stuff. See how there's all these people who have like the little sync symbol? Your level and your gear are all synced, right? But even with that, the sync level is so high that you're much higher than you were when these came out originally. I mean, I'm at 68. I probably would have been running this at like level 50, maybe at 50. I'd have the first level of gear. So yeah, if you can kind of picture, that's like 15 points of gear that everybody has that didn't used to have. It just makes it so much easier. And if you're wondering what's going on now, we're waiting for Sid. Which somebody spelled right there, Sid. That's kind of funny. I've never seen that before. That actually makes me chuckle. There he is, right there. He just takes a while. He's very slow. Once he gets there, everything will spawn. Or start spawning, I should say. I really think that making the cutscenes unskippable with the auto pace for the dialogue was probably the smartest thing that an MMO developer has ever done, because it really is like that, in adding the main story quest fights with Ifrit, Titan, Garuda, and Cape Westwind into roulettes, making those changes, making the roulette changes, and then adding all that stuff in. I honestly, genuinely feel like those are two of the smartest things that developers ever done with an MMO, because what happens is it lets everybody that needs to get that content done, it lets them get it done. Like, you don't have to sit and wait for up on an hour or more. You don't have to beg your friends to help you, and you may not even have friends yet, because you may be so new to the game. So it's just, in general, it's a very nice thing to have, and because the cutscenes are unskippable, all the toxicity is gone. Like, you know, people can't yell at you for watching the cutscenes because they have to watch them too. It was just such an elegant way to handle it. I really do love it, and I was gonna say I wish that World of Warcraft had done similar, but then I think about it, and there's really not enough places where watching cutscenes mattered in World of Warcraft like it does in Final Fantasy. It's a unique to Final Fantasy problem that was handled really well. That's how I feel about it. Fine work, Sophie. Stand clear, I have a mind to loose some fireworks. Diverting all power to cannons.
Trying to fix this.